What is going on YouTube? Dr. Way here. In this video, I'll be talking about the must use, and I really do mean you have to have them in your lineup somewhere in the open field. Commanders, right? Must use commanders. Season of Conquest, right? And whenever you give advice like this, it really should come with a caveat. Generally speaking, I do adamantly advocate for these commanders that I'm about to mention. However, right, depending on what you want to do with your account, the gear that you have at your disposal, and ultimately the commanders that you already have are going to be big considerations when it comes to what commanders that you choose, right? Now, clean, fresh slate, you're going in it with access to do anything, that might be a little bit different, right? But, I always advocate for getting specific advice for what your account needs. And if you want some of that, feel free to leave a comment explaining, your commanders, your gear, this, that, whatever you think is relevant. And then I'll try my best to respond if you want something that should be the must-use commanders, for you. Amen. So let's go ahead and get into the video. And I think that although these aren't necessarily must-use commanders, I think that it would be disrespectful not to use them because they're probably going to be expertise anyway. And that's Alexander the Great and Esau. And they're all stars in the early game content, right? And I think they hold up very well in the late game content. There's only one other person that has AoE like Esau, right? That's Theodora, and she's a garrison captain, right? And then with Alexander the Great, all his skills are relevant, and he's a very good, versatile infantry commander, right? So I think that because these commanders are going to be expertise, and not very many people have, 2,000 sculptures to invest, right? You probably should be using these commanders. Even though they're not necessarily must use, I think that you should use them, okay? All right, now, I want to get into what I think actually are the truly must-use commanders. And we'll just start with infantry because they're always my favorite. Guan Yu. I'm not even finna bore you with it. AoE damage, big boy AoE damage with the silence on top, right? He has a little bit of march speed to attack, full healing factor, more skill damage, right? Expertise, when you get a shield, you do more skill damage, which is relevant for some of these combos that I might mention, and I'll go ahead and mention it. Guan CPO. I think Guan with CPO is probably the best infantry march you can do right now. That march is hot right now. That is the hottest infantry march. I think it might be the hottest march you can do right now. You got to get Guan Yu somewhere, even if it's not Guan CPO, Guan Leo, Guan Alex. Fuck it. If you got it, Guan fucking Richard. Use Guan with somebody. That's all I'm saying. Guan Sun Tzu. Use it. Guan Yu has to come out, right? Invest, please. If not 551XX something, at least 5111. Fuck it. If that's what you got, use it. Jesus, get the first skill max, please. Please. Okay. The next one, he goes with Guan, and it's CPO. He's the same thing. At least get him to 5111. This dude is so busted, right? Big boy AoE damage, just as much as Guan. Instead of him doing a silence, he does a health debuff, right? Jesus, right? He has the march speed, he has the attack, has a little bit of health when certain conditions are met. Damage factor over time, instant proc, and then you have a chance to proc skill damage taken reduction with the AoE shield. I mean, expertise, increased skill damage works well with Guan, or any skill damage commander for that matter. When the target is silenced, very good with Guan. Rage grows 80% faster, so now you got a rage engine. You know, when you use Guan specifically, dude, these Guan CPO together, I just talked about it, dude. Just please use it. If you're running only one infantry march, it is the infantry march that you want to be running. And then at that case, and that's why I said Alex might not necessarily be must use, because if you're not infantry main, Alex doesn't actually matter all that much anymore if you can do this, right? Do this, literally. Guan CPO. All right. I think that covers the must use infantry. Let's talk about the must use cavalry. And I've always hated the calves. I don't know why, but calves are not my jam. But I'm going to say it like this. There's 3 Cav commanders, and it's Nevsky. You got Nevsky. You got William. XY, and I'm trying to find William. You got William, right? All 3 of them in tandem isn't necessarily must use, but you got to use at least 2 of them, right? And I think you got to put Nevsky in there, period. So it's either going to be Nevsky with William or Nevsky with XY, right? So you got to have Nevsky in there and then like choose XY or William. And then I'll talk about why I think Nevsky is the one you have to have. Nevsky is the latest and greatest. He's clearly power creeped a little bit stronger than a William or XY is, but Nevsky doesn't have the AoE damage that XY or William has. And then Nevsky also has the tankiness, so he pairs really well with XY or William, who has Spank, but they ain't got the tank, right? Nevsky brings the tank, especially when expertise, because he gets the 30% increased health. You know, when you get a chance to do it when you get attacked, right? The more people attack you, the more chance you have for this to actually activate. And then I think that both XY and William are some pretty cool commanders. With XY, you know, you got a good defense reduction, right? 30%. And if XY is first, and then Nevsky hits his debuff, Nevsky's debuff will take over, because if he's being swarmed, your target getting being swarmed by more than, you know, 2 people or more. No, really it's 3. Nevsky plus 2 other marches, right? 45%. You get the 45%, and then his defense reduction to take over. So that is relevant. You know, XY has XY and William are so related with they both have attack and march speed. You know, and then he has like more of a rage engine, ramps up the damage. And then with the what makes William, I think, really unique, if I can find him here. What makes William unique is that he gets rid of this extra skill damage buff effects. And then he has a rage engine too, but he has this rage engine where he can give rage when he hits AoE to all of the marches all around, or at least up to 5 marches. So I think both of them have their uses. I think William comes with a lot more utility, and he can really enable some of your other marches in a way that XY can't. And I think William's debuff is kind of really legitimate with how much skill damage is coming out on the field right now, and how many extra skill damage effects that there actually are on the field. You know, and I know I get that his AoE is kind of, you know, weird or whatever, but it, like, if in an open field, big brawl, like, you're going to hit 2 targets, dude. It's happening. So you're going to get the rage, you're going to get the defense, you're going to stop whatever march you hit from doing all the extra BS skill damage. Very relevant. Right, and then he actually cares about Swarm, and Nevsky cares about Swarm, and I think it's good. Right, I think it's great. Right, so in my opinion, I'm not a big advocate of putting XY first as a primary, but I think XY with Nevsky is the way to do it, and just trust that your Nevsky is gonna, you know, give you the defense that you need, so your XY doesn't get swarmed down I mean, still gonna die pretty relatively fast, but way less than, you know, previous combinations that you would have been able to come up with. And then with Nevsky William, I would just put Nevsky first, William secondary. All right. So those are, I think, the must-use cavalry where you're using at least one of those, right? You're either using Nevsky William or you're using XY Nevsky. Okay. And then I honestly do not believe there's any archer commanders that are like must-use at this point. Now, I will say, like I said, I think you want to try to get YSG out on the field, right? But the commander that you use kind of doesn't matter as much. The other archer commander you're pairing with, like I said, all of them are have their uses. Like I think Ramses and Nebu are the stronger options, but I don't think that they're must use. But for the sake of saying that you actually have to bring out an archer march, you know, I'm gonna say Nebu, right? Because he has the AoE damage, he has some march speed and defense. Esong really likes that. And then he also has a straight up damage bonus, and then he has a chance to reduce a target's rage. So I think that's some great utility. I wish it could have been. I don't know. I don't know. Messing with somebody's rages can get busted really quick. So I'm not even going to ask for any more. Expertise doesn't matter all that much, but it is just more damage. I think Nebu is doing exactly what Esong wants to do, which is you're still a squishier march, but the AoE damage is like up there. You know, I like that for the open field. And I'll say that he's not must use, but you want to enable your Esong. You want to bring out that archer march. So you got to do something. Now, I will say this too. There are going to be archers coming into the game probably within 3 months, most likely. And I think that one of those new archer commanders is going to be so nuts in the open field. Like, I mean, I don't see how they would even be able to not do that with the way that Nevsky and CPO are right now. So I would definitely say stay tuned for whoever's going to be the must-use archer commander in the open field. But for right now, I think Nebu is what you're going to have to use, right, if you want to enable that Esong. So again, hopefully this video was very relevant for you. Hopefully you got some information that you'll take with you and use as you make decisions about what commanders you want to invest in the future, in the season of Conquest. Again, like and subscribe if you enjoy, but only if you enjoyed, amen. And I'll see you in the next video.